Hey guys, coming to me another movie for you guys, and this movie we're reviewing is a movie that I knew that I was going to review as one of the first movies of this year. It just came on VOD, and I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I was definitely interested in it, and that movie is Anesthesia. I was definitely quite interested in Anesthesia for a couple of reasons. One, the plot definitely intriguing, but also it very much reminded me of the movie Crash. The movie that came out in 2004 most people say is like the least deserving of Best Picture winner. But definitely this movie seemed like that. And I haven't seen a lot of Crash. I've seen some parts of it. It's not the best movie. Definitely there are some parts that are quite boring. But Anesthesia definitely seemed like a very interesting film to me. And overall, I will definitely say that I do think that Anesthesia suffers from some of the same problems that Crash has, but overall is probably the best film I've seen so far in 2016 this year. It's not really saying much, but it definitely is better than the first three films I reviewed. Well, first two. If you count the Sherlock special as a movie, then yeah. But let's get to the plot of Anesthesia, because I really do like the plot of this movie. Basically, in the very beginning of this movie, we meet the character of Walter Zero. He is basically going to this flower shop. He's buying his wife flowers, which he always does, and he has for the past 30, however long he's been married to her. And he basically is attacked, and then we basically go to the past where we learn how he was attacked and how all these lives were involved with his attack, and that basically is the plot of Anesthesia. And I really do love the plot of the movie. I thought it was definitely very interesting, and there are a lot of things that work very well in this movie, mainly the cast. The cast really carries this film. This is definitely a character-driven film. Like I said, every character really does have their own story. And let's first talk about Sam Waterston, our main character here. He was great in this movie. I definitely have seen Sam Waterston before in Grace and Frankie. Very good here, but I thought here, very good in that, I mean, but he was very good here as Walter. Basically just a professor that really cares about his students and really wants the best for them and tries to look at the positives in life. And I also really loved how he will do anything for his wife. He was just a really great character. You really see a lot of heart in him. He really seems like that professor that we all want to have, that we're so close to, and that is more of a friend to us than a professor. He definitely did that very well, and I thought his character was very well done. I definitely really do like his character. Some of his monologues, he has like two monologues in the movie that I really feel symbolize a lot of what the movie's really trying to talk about, and he definitely did a very good job. I really loved his character, and you really do feel bad for him. You know that he's gonna get stabbed, so you want to know why, and when you realize why, it becomes you feel even worse for him. But I definitely thought he did a very good job, and I really did love his character. Tim Blake Nelson I thought was okay as Adam Zero. He is also the director and writer of this movie. We will talk about that. I thought he was fine, but I didn't really care too much about his character. He's Walter's son, but I didn't really feel like he had much of an arc. I feel like he just randomly comes into the movie because he needed to be in there, so I really didn't feel like he had a place there. By far, though, the standout of this movie is Kristen Stewart as the character of Sophie. Now, I've really been loving Kristen Stewart lately. I think she's been doing some really great things. Without a doubt, though, in my opinion, this is her best performance. I loved her in this role. She did an incredible job. Sophie's a character that has pretty much given up all hope on the world, and she looks at the world in a very interesting way, and she has a very interesting conflict that she's going to that I will not spoil, but let me just say, she has this one monologue that is probably the best thing I've seen from Kristen Stewart. If you have not already completely forgotten Kristen Stewart as Bella in the Twilight films, you will in this movie, because it really shows how promising of an actress she's going to be. I am very convinced at this point that she's going to do a movie that's going to get her an Oscar. It's obviously not this movie, but she definitely, I think, is on the verge of doing an Oscar type film. Definitely, I see her doing that, and she definitely did a very good job here. Her character was great. The bond that her and Walter have, Sam Waterston's character, is fantastic. She really had some great scenes, and she really had some amazing emotional scenes that really, in my opinion, I thought she was the strongest and most developed character of them all. Problem is, she is the character that is least seen, so a lot of the characters in this movie that I did really like, I would have liked more had Kristen Stewart's character had more to do. And it's not that her character is bad. Her character is fantastic. I think her character was very well developed. I just would have wanted more for her character to do because, in my opinion, I think she was the best of the bunch. Glenn Close at first, you may think is very underused, but towards the third act, like the very last 10 minutes of the movie, she was amazing. I loved her character. The chemistry that her and Sam Waterston have is spot on, and I thought she did a very good job. Gretchen Mole was fine. I didn't really care about her character, and this is my main complaint with the movie, is that some of the characters I just didn't exactly care about. Like Gretchen Mole, K. Todd Freeman's character. There's a whole subplot with Corey Stoll's character I didn't really care about as much. There's a subplot involving this like gangs, drug sort of thing, and I didn't really care about that either. Just some of the plot points brought up I didn't really care about, but I thought overall, as a whole, all the cast did a very good job. They all were very good, and I definitely thought all of them worked very well together. Now, the directing here by Tim Blake Nelson, I really do like what he was trying to do. His tone for this movie was very good. It always seems like a movie that something big is about to happen. You know that there's going to be something that's going to happen, because like I said, you know that he is going to be attacked. You know that's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that he's going to be attacked, and that really keeps you on edge. And they did a very good job with doing that. And I definitely really thought that was definitely very well utilized, is the sense of tension. The movie also has a lot to say about life and how we need to look at the positives and negatives, and it's done very well in this speech by Sam Waterston at third act of the film, and I'm just like, you know what, this is incredible. I mean, it really is a very impactful speech, and I definitely really love that. The writing is a bit clunky, though, I definitely will say that. And it's mainly because some of the plots in this movie I just was not that interested in. There is a whole drug plot, like I said, and I just could not get into it. It wasn't bad, it didn't really interest me. That's really my thing. It didn't interest me. It wasn't that compelling. And I just wasn't as into it as I wanted to be. And that's really one of my things, that some of the plots in this movie just I didn't really feel had much to do, and some of the characters are very basic. Like, for example, we have two teenagers just wanting to have sex. That's their plot, and I've seen that so many times. And they did a good job. I definitely will say that. I don't think anyone in this movie did a bad job. It's just some of the stuff in this movie is very, very basic, and at first, you don't really know how these stories are going to connect together. And I will say, some of the ways the characters came together were a bit forced. I definitely will say that. Because this is a movie where all the plots do connect, and some of it felt forced. Some of it worked very well. Like, something they do with Corey Stoll, I actually really loved, but then some of it just felt very forced. And the end of the movie, I really liked, but there is a scene toward the end that I really didn't feel was as necessary as it needed to be. But overall, I thought the screenplay was very good in the third half. The second half, I will say, though, was quite clunky, just because I wanted to see more of certain characters that we weren't seeing a lot of. We were focusing on plot points that I just didn't care as much about. I'm like, okay, can we get to this character and not focus as much on this character? Not that that character was necessarily bad, I just wanted more from the other characters that I was more compelled in. It's one of those kind of movies. It definitely, like I said, is one of those movies where there are certain things you're going to care about and certain things you're not going to care about. Something I really was impressed by with this movie, though, was the cinematography, mainly because of the first shot of this movie. You're going to think it's very weirdly filmed, but when you actually see why they do it, because the movie starts with the attack and then they show it again, there's something different that they do with the cinematography, and it's really cool the way they do it. It really makes a lot of sense as to why they're doing it, and I definitely really love the way that that was done. The score here was very good. Like I said, it's a very tension-filled score. I really love the score of this film. Definitely did a very good job with that. The editing to this movie, I thought was fine. It was definitely short. A bit too short, I definitely will say. Like, I feel like some characters just should have had a bit more to do and did as much as I wanted to, and the characters that did, I didn't want them to have as much to do, but I thought overall the editing was fine. Definitely, I didn't really have too many problems with that. I definitely will say that. But the movie's 90 minutes. I felt that's the length it needs to be. It didn't really need to be any longer. But I will say that the last act of this movie is truly great. I thought the last act, they did a great job of, like I said, some of the ways they combined the characters were really not so great, but when they eventually get to the attack and explain what happened, the movie really does get great, and that's when I was really enjoying it. I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. Some of the directions they go with the characters, I really didn't expect them to go, and I really appreciate it. Some of the characters you don't care about as much, I actually did kind of care about towards the third half just because of what they did with them. I thought it was definitely very well handled. So overall, guys, I really did enjoy Anesthesia. I definitely think it's a very good movie. I really like the messages in the movie. Like I said, it's a movie that really is focused on purpose and, focusing on the positives and not trying to compare yourself to somebody else, especially having to do with what happens to Walter. I won't say what it's about, but it really is one of the big messages of the movie, and I really like the way they did it. The message never felt forced. It felt like it just made sense with some of the stories. Some of the stories, not so much. Like, there's just some love story that didn't really work as much, but some of them, a lot of them really do go with that, and there's some really terrific scenes, definitely, especially, you should watch the movie regardless of Kristen Stewart. I mean, Kristen Stewart really is the thing to watch in this movie, and definitely, you're missing out on an amazing performance from her, definitely. She's one of the things that definitely kept me watching. So overall, guys, I really did love Anesthesia. I think it's a very good movie. I would definitely probably check it out again. Well, I didn't love it, but I really did enjoy it. I definitely will say that. There were a lot of parts that I really did love. Some parts that, like I said, are a bit uninteresting, but for the most part, they kept it quite interesting. I was into it mostly the whole time, and I'm definitely going to give Anesthesia a 3.5 out of 5 or a B. It is a very good movie. I definitely recommend you guys check it out, and I was very close to giving it a B+, but mainly because of just some of the plots I never really got into. That's why I'm giving it a B, just because some of the plots I felt were not as interesting as they could have been, and I just want a bit more from them. But overall, guys, this is my review of Anesthesia. Let me know if you guys saw this movie. You have seen it. I definitely would recommend you guys check out this movie. Like I said, Kristen Stewart alone is enough of a reason to check it out. Also, just the message and the monologues. I think you definitely will enjoy it. It's not for everyone. I definitely feel some people will probably be bored watching this movie. Definitely, I will say that. It's a very dialogue-heavy movie. And if you're expecting to see a lot of the fight, we do get to see the stabbing eventually, but it doesn't happen till roughly towards the end of the film. I definitely will say that. But overall, guys, let me know if you guys saw Anesthesia you have seen. I know it's a movie that probably not a lot of you have seen. I know you guys probably expect me to review Forest, but I'm not seeing that in theaters. I'm going to wait for that to come out, a solar movie, obviously. So we'll see you guys next year, which will be for, I think, it will be for my Golden Globes predictions video, because tomorrow, guys, is all Golden Globes related. I'm doing Golden Globes predictions, then I'm doing my live stream, of course, and all that good stuff. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.